It's a Friday afternoon. The kind that feels ordinary. The kind where nothing is supposed to go wrong. I want you to picture a quiet neighborhood in Tyler, Texas. Houses lined up on Northwood Drive. Kids probably somewhere nearby. A woman in her 20s, just doing someone a favor. Then a scream cuts through the air. Not a shout. Not a call for help. A scream. The kind a neighbor hears through walls and knows, immediately, that something is very wrong. She calls 911. By the time deputies arrive at that house, they find a young woman lying motionless in the backyard. 3 pit bulls still circling her body. Still circling. A deputy draws his weapon. 1 shot. The other 2 scatter into the yard. But it doesn't matter anymore. She was already gone. Her name was Madison Riley Hull. She was 23 years old. And she died doing something kind. If you're new here, welcome. This channel tells the stories that hit close to home. The ones that don't make the front page long enough, but deserve to be remembered. Drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from. We've got people tuning in from all over, and I want to hear from you. If this kind of storytelling is what you came for, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss what's coming next. Now let's go back to the beginning. Madison Hull didn't stumble into this. She wasn't careless. She wasn't reckless. She was the kind of person who spent years building a life around taking care of others. Born and raised in Texas, Madison was 6 months away from graduating from the University of Texas at Tyler. 6 months. She was pursuing a bachelor's degree in early childhood education. She had a plan. She knew exactly what she wanted to do with her life. She wanted to work with young children K through 3rd grade. She wanted to be the kind of teacher kids remembered. The one who showed up. The one who stayed. That wasn't just a career path. It was personal. Madison's younger brother had been diagnosed with autism. That fact changed her. Not in a way that broke her, in a way that focused her. She watched him. She learned from him. She wanted to understand how children like him process the world, what they needed, what they didn't get enough of. Her degree wasn't just about getting a job. It was about going back to him better. Imagine spending 4 years studying something specifically because of the person you love most. That's who she was. The kind of woman who turns pain into purpose. The kind who shows up, every time, for the people who need her. Madison had worked for this family before. That's the part that matters. She hadn't met these dogs once and taken the job. She had babysat the family's children. Weeks at a time. She knew the house. She knew the people. She knew the animals. Or at least she thought she did. Dog-sitting felt like a natural extension of what she already did for them. It wasn't a stranger's request. It wasn't a random gig off an app. It was trust. She trusted them. They trusted her. And in that trust, no one stopped to ask a question that, in hindsight, needed to be asked. The homeowners left. Madison had one straightforward task. The dogs had gotten outside. She needed to let them back in. That was it. Walk to the house. Open the back gate. Call the dogs. Let them in. It should have taken 5 minutes. Instead, at some point between entering that backyard and the moment a neighbor heard screaming, 3 dogs turned on her. Not 1, 3. The attack was sustained. It was not a single bite and a startle. It went on long enough for a neighbor to hear it, process it, and make a phone call. Long enough for deputies to respond. Long enough that by the time the first officer arrived at 4:15 in the afternoon, it was already too late to save her. I need you to hold that image for a second. Not the violence of it. I'm not asking you to sit in that. I'm asking you to think about the 5 minutes before it. She walked into that yard the same way she had probably walked into 100 yards before. Familiar dogs. Familiar house. A task so simple it didn't even require planning. She wasn't afraid. She had no reason to be afraid. That's the part of this story that stays with me. The moment before everything goes wrong almost always looks like nothing. It looks like a Friday afternoon. It looks like doing someone a favor. The first deputy on the scene was alone. He arrived at Northwood Drive at 4:15 p.m. He did not arrive to a quiet house. He found Madison Hull in the backyard, still being attacked. He drew his weapon and fired 1 shot. One of the 3 dogs was killed. The other two broke away. He moved toward Madison, but there was nothing to be done. She was gone. He was the first person to reach her after the attack. He was a stranger. She should have been in a classroom. Within hours, word spread through Tyler. A young woman had been killed. A dog sitter, college student, someone's daughter, someone's sister. Jennifer Hull, Madison's mother, would later speak publicly. She said the dogs had not always been that way. Something had changed. Their behavior had shifted recently. She wasn't pointing fingers in that moment. She was just a mother trying to make sense of something that had no clean explanation. Because there isn't one. There is no version of this story where it makes sense. Investigators moved quickly. Smith County authorities began working alongside the district attorney's office within days. They needed to determine one thing above everything else. Did the dog owners know? Texas law requires the establishment of a mental state before criminal charges can be filed. 3 thresholds exist: intentional, knowing, or criminally negligent. The bar for knowing is specific. It means the owners had to be aware their dogs were capable of this. It means there had to be signs, prior incidents, prior warnings, prior behavior that someone saw, noted, and did nothing about. The investigation was not going to be fast. And for Jennifer Hull, and for everyone who loved Madison, waiting for answers was its own kind of wait. The legal question sounds simple on the surface. Did the owners know their dogs were dangerous? But in practice, that question is a maze. Neighbors don't always file reports. Bite victims don't always come forward. Warning signs get dismissed. They've never done that before. They're usually fine. They were just playing. These are the phrases that appear in cases like this over and over. And by the time the answer becomes undeniable, someone is already dead. Investigators had to build a picture, not just of what happened on that Friday afternoon, but of who these dogs were before that day, their history, their temperament, their owner's awareness of both. Jennifer Hull had made a specific observation. She said the dogs had not always been aggressive. Something changed. That kind of statement carries legal weight in a case like this. If the behavior shift was recent and visible, if people around those dogs had noticed it, then the owners may have had reason to know. That's the threshold. Not certainty, not a formal complaint, just awareness. Just, did you see it? Did you see your dogs changing and do nothing? The law draws a line between tragedy and negligence, and investigators were trying to determine exactly which side of that line this case fell on. Here's what I want you to understand about dog bite law in Texas, and honestly, in most of the United States. The system is built to protect owners, not victims. Unless there is documented prior aggression, the first attack is often treated as an accident, an anomaly, something unpredictable. But experienced animal behaviorists will tell you that a fatal mauling by 3 dogs is almost never spontaneous. Pack behavior has a buildup. There are tells, posturing, resource guarding, redirected aggression that got dismissed as playing too rough. The tragedy isn't just what happened to Madison. It's that the system often requires someone to die before anyone asks the right questions. This moment in Madison's story is also an opening, not to lecture, but to be honest about something most people avoid until it's too late. Pit bulls are not inherently evil. That needs to be said clearly. Individual dogs of any breed can be loving, stable, and safe. But certain breeds, including pit bulls, cane corsos, Rottweilers, and Mastiffs, carry a higher bite force potential and a higher rate of fatal attack incidents in documented data. That is not an opinion. That is recorded in emergency medicine literature and animal control statistics. Owning a powerful breed is a serious responsibility. It requires consistent training, proper socialization from puppyhood, behavioral monitoring throughout the dog's life, and above all, honesty. If your dog's behavior changes, that is not something to wait out. That is something to act on. Madison's mother said these dogs had changed. Someone saw it. No one acted. While the investigation continued, a GoFundMe was created for Madison's family. The response was immediate. People who had never met her donated. People who had known her for years wrote paragraphs in the comments. former students she had worked with, classmates from UT Tyler, families she had babysat for. The picture that emerged was consistent. She was the person you called when you needed someone you could trust completely. She showed up on time. She stayed as long as she was needed. She treated other people's children like they were her own responsibility. And she treated their dogs the same way. That is exactly what got her killed. Jennifer Hull sat down and wrote something. Not a statement for the press. Not a legal filing. Just a mother's words. She wrote that she didn't have the right words for what the days after losing Madison had been. She wrote about the pain. She wrote about the messages and the donations and the shares, all of it carrying her through moments when she didn't think she could stand. She was not asking for anything. She was just saying, I see you. I feel this. And somehow you are holding me up. That is what grief looks like when it is carried by a community. Not clean, not resolved, but held. Madison Hull never got to graduate. The cap and gown she had been 6 months away from wearing never made it off a rack. The K through 3rd graders she was going to teach. She never learned their names. Her younger brother, the reason she chose her path, will grow up knowing his sister built her entire future around understanding him better. And then she went to let 3 dogs inside. And she never came home. I've covered a lot of cases on this channel. Some of them are about violence. Some of them are about betrayal. Some of them are about systems that failed people who deserved better. This one is about all 3, and it's about the specific weight of dying while doing something good. There is no clean ending to Madison's story. No verdict yet recorded that closes the chapter. No sentencing that hands her family back the 6 months she had left. What remains is this: a young woman who spent her life learning how to take care of people, who walked into a backyard on a Friday afternoon to do someone a favor, who trusted a situation that had quietly become dangerous without her knowing. The neighbor who called 911 did the right thing. The deputy who arrived did the right thing. Neither of them could undo what had already been done. Some things, once in motion, cannot be stopped. And some losses hit in a way that has nothing to do with how extraordinary the person was, and everything to do with how ordinary the moment was. She trusted those dogs with her life. They took it. And somewhere in Tyler, Texas, a family is still waiting for answers. A mother is still standing. A brother is growing up. And a classroom full of children will never know the teacher they were supposed to have. Remember Madison Riley Hull, not as a cautionary tale, not as a headline, as a person, as someone who showed up every time for everyone who needed her. That's who she was. That's who she will always be.